to At Center Stage at the NAFEM show. I'm Deidre Flynn from NAFEM, and we're excited to be joined by Dave Brewer, Executive Advisor to Middleby Corporation, for Dishing with Dave Part 2. So Dave, welcome back.
Thank you.
Waiting for a good conversation with you. So earlier today, we had a conversation about workforce development.
Yes.
And the necessity for businesses in general to align their talent strategy with their business strategy for future growth, development, and success. So I've known you a long time. I know you to be a great coach and mentor of people and helping people develop their careers in the industry. And I've often heard you talk about the 3 C's.
Yes.
So share with us a little bit about your idea of workforce development and how your talent strategy has to align with your business strategy.
So I can talk about Middleby.
Yeah,
yes.
You can talk about Middleby.
So one of our secret sauces that a lot of people do not understand about Middleby, we've acquired 120 brands, right? About 90 some companies over the last years. And it was a great acquisition financial strategy, but actually acquisitions had an equal part people. So everybody we acquired, we looked in and hired, we brought the people that the people that were in the acquisition have all been promoted up through the organization. Matter of fact, if you look at the top management of Middleby around the world, they are basically all homegrown. So the strategy, the business strategy of acquiring technology and then bolting technology onto other companies, and then it's doing distribution, whether it's in food processing, home, residential, or food service. We're up to about 12,000 employees overall, but the leadership team, the group presidents, the CEOs are all homegrown from the inside. And so that was part of our secret to success, was the talent pool through acquisition, acquiring both the company, the technology, and the talent in that acquisition, which just exploded Middleby's shareholder value through people capabilities. So then it's just a matter of mentoring them, coaching them to success. So the 3 C's has been kind of a guiding principle of mine. So it's very political and diplomatic, and you've got to have diversity and all that, and I just kind of ignore all that. Because the 3 C's are capacity of a person, the capability of the person, and the curiosity of the person. And if you're looking at an individual, especially when they're trying to move up to become a general manager or a president or a CEO, I really focus in on those. So listen, capacity is a God-given gift. You can measure that. How smart are you? You're either dumb or you're smart, and there's a distance in between. But you should be able to measure that IQ and capability. Capacity is a chosen. So what's your capacity? What do you want to take on? How hard do you want to work at it? How intense are you? And how deliberate are you on getting projects done? So the discipline and the processes to actually execute business and make it successful. And then the most important part is curiosity. Curiosity is what drives diversity. Because when a person is truly, truly curious, they're curious in everybody. They're curious about different backgrounds, the gender of people, the experiences they've had. A curious person recognizes others and appreciates others. They also appreciate technology and the simple things that curiosity is typically a part of. But curiosity in everything you do makes you a very diverse person. So you can measure that diversity, and you can see that diversity in action when you're talking to a person. You can see it when you're starting to coach a person, and how they lean into that, and how excited they get, and how engaged they are in the curiosity factor, the capacity factor, and the capability factor of that individual. So when you put those together, that person, I can identify a person down here as a manufacturing manager, or one of our senior VPs of the whole company now. She started as a shipping clerk and worked her way up, and everything she touched, because she had the 3 C's, everything she touched, she outperformed every other division. And she ended up running the company. Then she ran a couple companies, and then we moved her up to the corporation, and she's excelling there because she's hitting all 3 C's all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Now, you talked about a number of acquisitions, identifying the talent within the company to grow with Middleby, but those companies came to you with a culture of their own.
That's right.
So how do you make that transition and embed the Middleby culture into those companies without losing the great parts of the company cultures that you acquired?
Yeah. So, it's a little bit of a misnomer, because is this culture better than that culture? Is this capability better than that capability? And frankly, the culture of the company overall, the way we value people, the way we recognize people, the way we are technology focused. I'm sorry, when we acquire you, you become part of our family. If you wanted my culture to be yours, then you should have bought Middleby, is kind of the theory. People excel when they're given a chance to excel, when they have the 3 C's. And so the adaptation of our culture typically excites the person that wants to move up in an organization, wants to run a company, wants to have an international experience, or something that they want to do personally. Coaching a person out of a division and into our culture is more about understanding what they want to do with their life and appreciating whether they can do it or not, and then allowing them to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you put a time frame on that? Do you identify that you should know and that person should know whether or not they're tracking towards that, even if it's a desire?
Yeah.
Because in some instances, the person doesn't fit into the role that they hope to have. That doesn't mean that there's not another role that's not equally challenging for them in the company, but sometimes that can be difficult. So can you usually identify that in a 2-year, 4-year, 5-year time frame, or
No,
do you pace it based on the individual?
You pace it based upon the individual. I always tell people when I introduce them, and I know that they can be the CEO of Middleby someday, I introduce them, I say, this person can be the CEO. She can be the CEO of Middleby someday. He can be the CEO at their choosing. If they want to do it, they can do it. But they've got to want to do it. And they want to have fun with it. You can tell when somebody's having fun in their job, and that's where the coaching comes in. You have to be gentle, because they have the 3 C's, right? As a professional, they are so capable. So then it's just a matter of getting them excited, putting them in the right job. And there's so many jobs. We have 12,000 jobs. So you can just put that person in there and they just blossom. And guess what happens? When somebody gets put in the right position and is having a lot of fun and making a difference in both in their personal life and their business life, stock price goes through the roof. Shareholder value goes through the roof. Competition goes away. The sea opens up in the capability of Middleby as a corporation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's your advice to somebody coming into the company on where they can go? Is it the sky's the limit?
Sky's the limit. You look at the top 5 people at Middleby, one was 10 years ago was walking up and down the street selling turbo chef ovens. One officer of the company was drafting at a drafting table. Grunt engineering, grunt sales. And within 10 years, they're running one of the biggest, if not the biggest company in the world, right? So sky's the limit. Just go after it.
So is your 3 C's philosophy something, you've been on the operator side as well as the manufacturing side. Do you think that the 3 C's carry through on both sides, that you've used that since your operator days?
Yeah, I actually first learned about it in restaurant operations, right? Because when you're working with a team member in the back of a Taco Bell or a Pizza Hut or a KFC or Long John Silver's or an A&W, right? We looked at those capabilities, and I put the 3 C's to it. Other HR people do different things. It made sense to me. It was easy for me to remember. I'm an engineer, so I'm a little bit slow in most areas, kind of shallow and wide. That's a children's thing. But in restaurant operations, you've got to identify people really quickly, right? They come in, and you got to get them in the right spot in the restaurant, whether it's in the kitchen or on the front counter or out dealing with a customer. And so that ability to identify somebody's capability and identify what they want to do, you've got basically 6 hours to do that. And I think that applies. I don't think there's any difference whether you're running a broiler company, a fryer company, or a Chick-fil-A.
Right. It's universal across all industries and all businesses, right?
Including your organization,
Including
right?
our organization.
Which is a huge organization, right? Huge impact. You have the same thing, right?
So you heard it here first at Center Stage. Curiosity, capacity, and capability, the 3 C's. Join us tomorrow for our last installment of Dishing with Dave. I'm Deidre Flynn from NAFEM. Thanks for joining us.